Hi, I'm Sophie,
Hi, I'm Paul.
and we are SP film viewers. So today's session is going to be a little bit different. We actually had like a movie marathon home cinema experience,
Yes, something along those lines.
which was for Paul's birthday weekend. So I have gone all out on movie kind of goodies. We bought some pick and mix, and I bought the bags that you can put the pick and mix in. We went for hot dogs, but not just on a plate, obviously not, in like a little carton. What else did I do? Oh, popcorn. How could I forget? So
Very, very spoiled with what Sophie did, so I'm very grateful for her efforts with that.
we even got the new clapboard as well.
Yeah, as well, you might see from Instagram posts that we've been posted up over the weekend.
I'm
Obviously,
obsessed.
this will be when this comes out. It will be back end of the following week, but yeah.
But just a little bit of a teaser. I feel like that's what it is. Kind of like here's what's coming. So it's been a really, really fun weekend, and it's not actually cost us that much, and it feels like we've kind of been able to get more money worth than maybe going to the cinema at the moment, I think. Especially with my sweetie stall, as it was free. Oh, free to Paul.
Yeah.
So
best thing ever when it's free. So, which kind of works quite well actually. Technically, this will be the 31st proper episode, full length episode, and 31 this year.
That is so cool. I love that. Obviously,
so works out quite well.
Next year's not going to be like that. Maybe we'll have to double next year's number for your date of birth. Then if we're going to kind of do that, that's might be his aim. Because obviously, unless we're going to do just pause here and wait until you're 32, which we're not going to do.
No.
So that is quite clever, isn't it? That how it's fallen.
Yeah. I guess it was meant to be.
It must have been. So Paul had to have the really, really hard pressing job of picking the movies, obviously, because you know me, I don't really know what to pick or what he would want to watch, and have much knowledge of many, many movies. So you had quite a lengthy list, didn't you, that you had to whittle down?
But ultimately, in the end, it was kind of like thinking about films to make it a triple bill. In the fact of having one that neither of us have seen, one that Sophie hasn't seen, and then one that we've both seen. That was my train of thought when whittling it down to the choices. So, as you might have gathered from the thumbnail, I decided on Seven Samurai, American Psycho, and La La Land.
Very, very good choices. I was happy with how you kind of had put it along the day. I didn't know how much my attention span would have been with the Seven Samurai at the end of the day. I think he did quite well putting La La Land last.
The back end, yeah. Because I say it for the fact that Seven Samurai neither of us had seen before, and I know it's quite a long one, so I think this is a good opportunity to have like a dedicated amount of time to sit and watch this, and very fresh early on in the day, so we can completely focus on what's going on.
Yeah. And I think that helps, obviously, because it was subtitled as well, and it was quite lengthy to kind of get you through the movie. It was a good start. I think if you'd have done that at the back end of the day, when you've done like a movie marathon, I think your attention span would not be
dwindled, and you'd be full of food, and you'd be like, oh no, feeling the cinema. So there's obviously no disruption to the film itself, thinking, oh right, let's just get this out of the way.
I think it's one of those that needs more actual attention given.
Yeah.
It's one of those films where you can't just kind of put it in the background. You need to focus on it.
Yeah, because I imagine actually seeing this in the cinema, this is a pretty, pretty amazing experience, really, because you completely fully focus on the big screen in front of you.
And you were immersed
in it. And times when you go into the cinema and you see things that are quite lengthy, you can kind of just get so engrossed in it, you kind of don't realise how long the film is sometimes.
Yeah.
Unless it's really boring, but...
I think with this one I did feel it a little bit. I don't know if that's because we were at home or if I'd have felt the same. I think it did have really, really good aspects about the film. I think everything else at the beginning was really, really well done. It was actually the last fight, which I felt was like kind of long-winded for me personally, because you'd already had like there was 3 battles, wasn't there? and you could kind of see the tactics and the techniques in the first two, and in the third one it was just like a free for all kind of charge session. That was really
what it was all ultimately leading up to.
And I think actually I was just a bit like, I actually preferred the more tactical thinking side of it. I think I was more intrigued when I could see the way that they were trying to plan things.
Right.
Than actually just, I don't know, I just sat there like, okay, this is a load of action, and maybe it's the girl in me. Like,
yeah, maybe that is, because that's normally what the selling, it is the selling point of what the whole thing is.
I was just like, okay, let's just fast forward and then let's pause it there and let's see what's happened now after all the actions. That's what I'd feel like.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
No, he wouldn't let me do that. I was never going to say that.
The only time we did skip ahead was because there was actually an intermission.
Yes.
Point, which is quite a novel thing that they actually did that, but I guess that's what they probably would have done if it was actually shown in the cinema.
Because it is like 3.5 hours long, so it is a lengthy one to watch. But it is lovely to watch, actually, isn't it? Because it's black and white. It has that kind of old rustic film grain to it, and it feels like it's like on an actual film reel, and it's like negatives.
Yeah, very traditional, yeah.
And it still brings you the culture through of Japan, even though it is in black and white. And I always associate like Japanese kind of with the colour in my head, if you were going to say like cherry blossoms and stuff, but actually it's still...
Yeah, but I think at that point it would still have been probably an expensive process to make it in colour. But
I think actually I preferred it in black and white, but if you were going to say to me, Japan, I would think if you were going to do a movie, obviously this one was done in 1954.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to be more likely going to be black and white. But to me, I always straight away think of Japan, bright colours, lights,
the shrines and everything.
Yeah.
And the cherry blossoms, like you said. Yeah.
All this kind of thing. Yeah. So, and the lanterns and everything. So I think that's when it was like okay, so it is in black and white. But it didn't hinder to the film. If anything, it kind of added to it. There was so many characters that you kind of as well fell somewhat in love with. I feel like they were quite...
Yeah, there's plenty of time to sort of develop them each to their own, really. You kind of got to know.
And you did feel it when there was certain ones that were no longer, because obviously it's inevitable with these kind of films that somebody's going to die.
Yeah.
And you could feel a little bit upset, and you kind of did feel, because you got to know the other characters, you felt their pain as well. There was one character which was, it was so funny. I thought initially when we were watching it, I'm thinking, I'm really not going to gel with you.
The one who's a bit of a rogue.
Well, he's not really a samurai, is he?
No, he's really no. He's kind of just trying to pass himself off as one.
Yeah, but he actually becomes a samurai in the end, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You look at him and think he's one of those. It kind of felt more like a cartoon.
But like a clown.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the sense of like, you can't take him really seriously.
Like a little bit like a Tom and Jerry kind of thing. Like you're always having to chase after him. He's always doing what he shouldn't be doing, and like that kind of vibe, which actually kind of lightened the film.
Yeah, I was quite surprised about how much humour, how much I was actually like kind of laughing at how the actions of him was coming across with the characters, and it's kind of...
Because I didn't expect it to be like that. I thought it was going to be really, really intense.
And serious the whole way through, which is kind of nice. Nice surprise.
Yeah. I would say it was definitely worthwhile watching, even though it is quite long. I think you would want to dedicate some time to kind of booking it in. It's one of those things which will take up quite a bit of your time.
Yeah.
But it is worth...
Oh, definitely. It's a very cultural piece of cinema.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's lovely watching it in the... Like, obviously hearing the Japanese, having the subtitles, it's kind of makes you more immersive into that culture. And
talk about how there are various different camera shots, and even for the time being pretty remarkable, really. I presume you may have noticed certain things were like, sort of like just slowed down. And it's
which is quite clever to say for the time, how...
The techniques, and so especially like some of the camera pans and stuff that you're going on to focus on different sort of the characters going around is really good.
And to say that they had a lot of characters and a lot of people in the film, the way that they kind of put that all together, and the action-packedness as well. I think, even though I kind of said I could have done without it being so long.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like it was like a fake acting, somewhat, in a sense of being stabbed and stuff. They weren't, because back then you could think they wouldn't have as much kind of knowledge of how to pretend to be hit or knocked over or...
Right, you mean even though there was no blood or anything,
it still was kind of realistic,
wasn't like over the top?
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It looked like somebody actually had been physically hurt. Or so it was portrayed, because normally they can either overdo it back then, kind of to make it look realistic, but it was actually in time and it was more...
the fluidity of everything really worked in motion, so yes, very well choreographed. And like you say, there was a lot of obviously like a lot of horses and they running past and stuff. That could have probably many takes realistically, but
definitely. I do think though that I was sick of seeing these horses running up and down after a bit. That was the bit that was getting on my nerves. It was like, oh come on, okay. And I was actually thinking in my head, it's killed one there, it's killed one. They only had 7 and this is going on for ages. Just get it done now. But I think that would be the only bit I'd have said shortened. But I understand. I
mean, it's really difficult to know. Obviously, this is my first time seeing it, so I couldn't really rightly say a particular part where I'm going, if you cut that part out, this would make it better type of thing or anything like that. So it was kind of hard to... It wasn't very clear to judge.
I think that
where if I had to make a cut, where that would be, really.
I think that would be mine, but I think that's only... It wouldn't be a massive cut because you still need that part.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it needed to go on for as long.
But I'm pretty sure, I think I did read somewhere that it's like the film is actually even longer than what we've seen. So maybe in Japan it was actually like another hour on top of...
I don't know what they could have possibly done.
But I think they're probably really quite expensive to shoot the whole for that long and on location. Because obviously it's not like a studio. It's all out in the fields and all that, so...
Very good, very good, but I wouldn't want to watch another hour of it, that's for sure. I feel like, okay, this is enough now.
Okay.
So should we go to the scores?
Yep.
So, do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I still highly recommend people watching it, and I don't think it is a negative that it is so long, but I think it is one of those where if you were just bunging a film in, this wouldn't be your choice to you'd kind of want to plan it out. But it's lovely because obviously we love Japan.
Yeah.
I love an old black and white film. I seem to really, really like that at the moment. So I think, for me, the only reason why it's not going to get any higher than that would be it's because it's a little bit lengthy. And I think sometimes my attention span might drop off maybe after 3 hours, I've noticed. So the extra half an hour...
Did you in?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'd give it an 8. What about you?
I think I know it's my first time seeing it, and I'm sure there'll be points I'll want to revisit this again. And I know I'm not just saying this because it's kind of like, oh well, it's so masterful level of cinema, and the fact that I have sort of a soft spot for Japan stuff. But I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that more because it was well worth?
Oh yeah, definitely
watching?
well worth watching.
Is it because of the snacks that are provided that it made it a 10-worthy film? No?
No, I think just overall, just how you get to know the characters and the humour aspect really did.
I really enjoyed the humour actually, because you know me, I'm a bit funny with humour, and I actually did find it quite humorous and in a lovely light-hearted way, which I think it needed. And it did have like a beautifulness about it with the humour, the acting, and so I understand why.
Yeah, so. And it's, like I say, they'll see it in the future. It'll be like more, like definitely more focused on like how even more like how in depth camera movements are and all that kind of stuff, and more focused on just the whole mise en scène that's going on.
Yeah.
The thing, so it's obviously not right away, but some point in the future I'll look forward to.
You've got another 3.5 hours.
That's the thing.
Spare.
But, yeah, so it might be that I actually do when it says intermission, it can be like hour and a half cut off point, and then be like, right, okay, step away from it for day or two and then gone back to the thing, so I guess.
Yeah.
So the next one. The one that Sophie hasn't seen, but I have. And that is American Psycho. Now, I've seen this... Maybe... This will be the 4th time seeing this now?
Yeah, that quite surprised me when you said it was the 4th time, and I was like, am I having to really, really like this film if you've watched it 4 times already? So was this going to be... Is this your 5th time, or is this your 4th?
No, this is from when we watched...
That is the 4th time.
It would be the 4th time, yeah. So, I think what keeps me coming back to this film is Christian Bale's performance as the lead character of Patrick Bateman in this film. That's, I don't know, there's just something about his whole character portrayal, just really does it. Strong performance, and it's...
He does do quite a strong performance, because to be honest, I really do not like this character whatsoever. And you know when you're kind of watching a film and you despise a character?
Yeah, it's not,
that's when an actor has done a brilliant job, that you can really, really, like really despise somebody and they're not even real.
Yeah, it's not in a good way, like I want to aspire to be him. It's that kind of, like you say, despising the character for all his actions that he does and stuff,
but you get to a point of where you get yourself so rattled up that you don't like him, and it's like, and I have to kind of sit myself back and go, Sophie, he's not real. He's just a character. You don't need to get yourself so worked up about this. And it's like, but that's because it is such a strong lead that you do get kind of swept away with everything going on and thinking that it is happening and it's all real.
Yeah.
I found this quite intense and gripping, and sometimes a bit shocking, especially when he was like obviously just going around killing innocent people. When he picked up the cat, that was my like, Paul, I can't look, you're gonna have to. And I know we were trying to do a thing where you're in the cinema, Sophie. If you're in the cinema, would you have asked Paul these questions? Because I can be.
Yeah, but if it was in the cinema and I hadn't seen it before, I wouldn't have known the answer. But I did obviously kind of suspect from when I first saw it the first time whether that particular thing was going to happen or not. But then like, phew, sigh of relief when it didn't. But unfortunately, a dog doesn't have the same resolve. Which
I think that's why I thought when he picked up the cat, he'd already done something to a dog, that I just assumed. And at this point, he was getting even more psychotic and a bit loony. That I was thinking anything is bloody possible at this point. I was just like, it was very, very gory as well. There was a lot of blood. You didn't really see the actual physical...
Yeah, it wasn't like that gruesome, that showing limbs chopped up or guts coming out of somebody or anything, but you obviously saw blood. But
a lot of blood. I think that was like the main kind of bit to show that somebody had been kind of murdered. That was the way they kind of had to portray it.
It does come across as like horror/thriller, I guess, is what you'd maybe...
It's scary though, really. The character that he portrays, it's like he's kind of living a double life. Like, he's acting like this perfect man. Like, he's got everything. He's got money. He's got a really, really good job. He's got a fiance. He's got a brilliant apartment.
Yeah, it's this regime that he goes through every single day with his face moisturised and all that.
He's perfect. He's literally, you look at him and he's got this... His bubble is perfect. Mm-hmm. But he has no soul, and he's a dark, twisted man.
Well, you kind of get that from the straight away, I guess, when he's literally peeling off the mask.
I know, I didn't even twig on that, because obviously you've seen that a couple of times. You'll think that it is like kind of him.
His face, so it's kind of like, this is not the real me, kind of.
Yeah. He does make you feel a bit uncomfortable as well, the way that he portrays his character. Like, when he's in his psycho modes, you kind of get that uneasy feeling of you don't know what he's going to do.
Because of the fact that, well, again, like, one of the things I like is a bit like a Tarantino thing, where he's kind of like explaining things about his music choices. Like, a bit of background on like Phil Collins or...
I was so upset when he put Phil Collins on. It was like, do you have to root? I love Phil Collins. You know this story. I'm obsessed. And so, like, when he put Susudia on, I was like...
And the gratuitous sex scene, yeah.
Oh, that was horrible as well. That was just horrific. I was just like, sat there thinking, I don't really like stuff like that. And I'm just like, I'm just not feeling that comfortable watching this. And it went on forever, it felt. It probably didn't, but it was like, also like when he was like trying to look at his muscles and he wasn't even like really looking like he was enjoying it. He was just like loving himself. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, he's such a character to just like, I just don't like you. So I think the music though was really good. I really enjoyed the music. They had a bit of Whitney. They had, and the way that he killed people with the music was quite comical. It kind of lightened.
Yeah, that's what I kind of liked about the first real on-screen kill that you see with Paul Allen. I was pointing out Jared Leto, which is kind of weird seeing him as he's so young. So till recently I didn't know he was actually
in acting.
In the thing. In the obviously as the film gets like you come back and see characters or actors playing the characters and you didn't realise he was in that.
Yeah, I like it when that happens. Yeah, I get where you're coming from with the first killing. It is quite comical, and it is like the fact that he's kind of planned it out quite well with like the newspaper on the floor tape, so he's not wrecking his floor. Then he puts his raincoat on so he's not splashing any of his clothes. It's quite meticulous and well thought out, and then it kind of starts to spiral at the back end where he's got into a point of where it's really, really irrational. He can't really control himself anymore. It's kind of the darkness is taking over him.
But as I say, like that first instance where there's plenty of like still image almost like memes, basically the thing, when he's like pointing to the thing and he's to the sound system and he's got the raincoat on, and also the hey Paul, and then and chops him. Yeah, it's weird. I think I was quite enjoying it at the beginning, and it's gripping and it is intriguing, but the back end was a bit like it's getting a bit heavy. Yeah, and ultimately for him it's kind of getting a bit heavy for him. He's kind of losing it. He's blurring what's real and what's...
Well, the ending was a bit of a surprise factor for me. I didn't see this one coming. It was a bit of
Not like Fight Club.
No, it wasn't. I just literally thought he was a psycho.
It kind of guess it leaves you to think whether that is truly the case, whether he has really committed all those murders or whether he's committed some murders or it's not at all. It's all in his head, whether that's he just thinks that he's got these thoughts but he's not really put them into action. I think it's kind of like
leaving you
to think what's going on there.
I feel personally it gets to a point of where you can kind of see this sad kind of ending where it's like he strives and thinks he's like this perfectionist and he's amazing and he's really high up there, and actually he has nobody really knows the true him. Nobody seems to actually realise who he is, or
he's not as big as he thinks that he is in terms of how important he is. There's the whole...
And that kind of cliche kind of businessman lifestyle, which appears quite lonely.
Yeah, because he's always trying to match like up to his peers with like, oh, look at my business card, and then they're all like, well, here's mine, and it's hardly much different at all. But it's like, oh, it's just slightly off colour white or the embossed lettering and kind of stuff, and like, oh, it's kind of like really hitting him hard, and for things, it's like, really, that's what are you talking about here?
It's nothing really in comparison to anything, but he's taking it so personally, and it's like, God, you actually kind of do feel for him, even if he has done all these murders. You kind of do, in the end, feel a little bit sorry for him because nobody really cares for him. It's like you've got all this wealth and everything, but you've got nobody to share it with you. What's the point in having that?
What I kind of feel for is like PA, I guess she is in the office that he works at, because I feel like she seems to care for him, but nothing. Well, she kind of comes over for drinks one time, but
and then you think he's going to get killed.
She thinks she's nearly almost gets axed, but thankfully she doesn't, and then it's kind of I think he just because he kind of lets her go from there, so I think he does have emotion for her. Or cares for her.
He doesn't want to harm her.
Yeah.
And I think he's got certain selective ones which he does. You do feel like that scene is a bit like, oh, why are you kind of going to hurt her? That was the hardest one for me to think. If it was going to hurt somebody, it would have been her. Whereas the other's not saying that it's anything better, but I think the other one would have been the homeless man. I didn't like that scene of like, get a job, you know. It's like, yeah, that's easy for you to say you've got a job.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of rattled me because it's like, well, that's just like showing different class. It's not, you don't even understand where he's at here.
Yeah, exactly.
At all. Yeah. And it's like, just because you've lived in a privileged kind of upbringing of la-di-das and can...
Yeah. And the fact that he's hiring prostitutes and stuff to do thinks like, just because you got a bit of money, you can just bat him around and treat him like trash. But I guess that does happen still now. But
it's annoying how valuable money is sometimes. It's like, like that woman, the fact that she'd already knew what she'd got herself into the first time,
and then
but the
taking a second beating the second time, isn't it?
The layer of the money is like, well, you can't spend it when you die, so you know. That's my principle, anyways. Shall we go to the scoring, or if you've got some other bits that you want to
add? Yeah, no, I think it's really, when we said about before how you kind of love to hate the character of our lead, but that goes for everybody else as well, because they're all quite seedy in their own right as well. The how is like, you know, do coke in the bathroom, and
you don't really have, you know, like a Sam White.
No, there's no real, like, except for the PA.
I don't really feel like I like her a lot though.
But if anyone's a redeeming character, she's the most innocent one. And like you said before about the soundtrack as well, is really,
it is good.
Very, very solid. A lot of good tunes in there. So yeah, the only other thing I'd want to say is it kind of does now make me intrigued to read the actual novelisation of it, see how that fares. I'm sure there's probably a lot more
gruesome things in there.
In the things which I'll be quite intrigued to read, so I'll probably look into getting that at some point. But I will go for my scoring this time.
Okay.
First. And it's an 8.
Okay. So to say that you've watched it 4 times, I thought it might have been a bit actually higher than that, because mine's not far off yours. So mine's a 7.5.
Yeah, it's 8 is yes, enjoyable, but it's not something that might sound contradictory to how many times I've seen it, but it's good to come back to now and again. I think really for the lead's performance. I think
personally, I'd probably enjoy it now, rewatching it again, knowing the outcomes of things, instead of having that that grippingness kind of will ease a little bit for me, and the intenseness, it will be kind of then watching to kind of depict how I want the ending to be, if I do think he's actually a psycho and if he's doing all these things, or if...
So try to pick up when I was watching it this time, whether it was like how Fight Club is, where you kind of think, oh, is that a clue to whether at this point this is when the things start shifting, but it still wasn't quite as apparent. I'm guessing really it really kicks off when, like we said about the cat, where it's feed me a stray cat into the ATM machine. I'm thinking, well, that's not normal. So and when he's firing at the cops and his gun is blowing up the car, which is, and he's like, what? How's that possible with this little pistol I've got? So
I didn't actually twig onto those.
So you might see things when you're not so scarred by what's happening, what's occurring with his actions. So yeah,
no, definitely a good one. I think it was my least favourite out of the 3. Okay, if I'm honest, but still really, really worth watching, especially to keep you on your toes. And it wasn't that long, was it? So it was kind of
near an hour and a half, maybe a bit more. Yeah.
So the next one is
La La Land.
Well, we would have to watch La La Land, wouldn't we? Because Paul loves Emma Stone. So, do you know, actually, the first movie we went to the cinemas to watch was Gangster Squad, and I didn't want to go see it. It wasn't, obviously, definitely wasn't up my kind of movies to watch at that point. It wasn't my kind of thing. Not one bit. And the fact that then I knew that Paul really, really liked this Emma Stone, who I didn't have a clue at that point of who she was.
Very naive at that point about things other than your rom-coms.
So I was like, okay. But because I really, really liked Paul, I was like, okay, then we'll go. I'll sit through this movie that I've paid for and not really enjoy it. So that's where we've come to with La La Land. I really do think it's because it's his birthday and he wanted to see a pretty girl on his screen.
But I've got one right here.
Smooth. So shall I go first?
Yeah, by all means.
So we did actually watch this in the cinema and I really enjoyed it. I was really disappointed at the ending when I was in the cinema last.
Right, okay.
I think I had a bit of a gripe about it, didn't I? And I wasn't as happy with how it ended because it wasn't Sophie's ideal happy ending.
Yeah, exactly.
However, this time watching it through, I think because I've had a bit more training up on me, don't get me wrong, I'm no movie critique or anything like that.
We try on this.
I think you do a lot better than me. I kind of have a good whine about a film. And it's all opinionated.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, it's not anything that could be kind of taken as true facts.
Right, you mean critical.
Yeah, it's more how I feel.
Yeah.
So it was more enjoyable than I realised. I loved the colour. I didn't realise how much the colour actually played a massive part in this film. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have, it's weird, it has a bit of a crossover, I feel. It has like that kind of era of like an old kind of movie, but at the same time it's modernised.
Yeah.
It's the vibrant colours of the girls wearing the dresses at the beginning, and it's all like pop art colours, and it's really eye-catching and such. But then they also have, when they're doing like the singing scenes later on, where the lights change colour. So there's one part where Emma Stone was singing and she was like in a green kind of room, and everything just kind of complemented each other so well that it wasn't even down to the acting at the point. I was more looking at
the visuals,
the lighting, the background, everything, which normally I wouldn't even really be aware of. Emma Stone does a brilliant... I can't believe I'm saying this.
She's amazing.
She is actually a brilliant actress. She is.
Yeah.
You can't actually fault her. You do feel a lot more acting coming from her than maybe Ryan Gosling.
I'll admit, not just saying that for the sake of saying it, but yeah, he's good, but he's nowhere near her level of... No.
But then Emma Stone singing is a little bit weak, but it kind of, obviously her acting blows it. Yeah. So I think you've got Ryan Gosling, where he's an overall quite good at everything. He's quite good at the dancing. His singing's not too bad.
Yeah.
And his acting's just mediocre. Whereas Emma Stone's acting is like, I think that you can kind of see that because she's so brilliant. It kind of, he looks weaker in comparisons a little bit.
Yeah. And saying that, the fact that I've spoken to a few people, like I said to my mum, for example, how when said I thought she'd like this, but she said she couldn't get like very far through it. But I think she was kind of set on the fact that there's quite a fair few songs at the beginning of the film,
and she
thought that it was going to be that all the way through, which it really isn't. Once you get past that maybe half an hour point, it's kind of more focused on the drama between the two leads.
Yeah, it is.
And that's where Emma shines.
Yeah, massively. Really. Like when she sings, I think she's a little bit squeaky, I think.
Yeah, I'll admit that's not quite there with that, but everything.
But it actually kind of makes you realise that she is human, and that it is a case of she's wanting to be an actress, not a singer. And you get, like, when there's one scene where she's, like, doing an audition, and I'm proper feeling her audition here. She's, like, proper crying, and it's, like, it's an amazing acting skill, and they don't even appreciate it. I do think, though, to be fair, Emma Stone does get more lines where, because she is acting to be an actress, there is more acting
involved. She's acting within an acting role.
Yeah, so you do get to see, but they're playing on her strengths there, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Ryan, I think, is more just like an average Joe role. It's not as hard to act.
No, I guess, yeah.
You know, cause
yeah. And like, obviously, I think really he's probably got doubles playing the piano and stuff.
There was parts where it looked like he'd learned something of it, but other parts you could see there were cutaways.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, as they do. They show the hands and then show the upper body, I think. But like you're saying about like how she was doing the audition and then they're just like on the phone, whatever, or thing, thanks for coming in for after like 2 seconds. That's just how Hollywood is, I imagine.
Yeah, really, I can imagine it is.
Which is quite strange how, like you're saying with the colours before, it is kind of very much glamorising the whole what Hollywood is, really, and everything's all like song and dancing, Dance Street and all that stuff, and it's all glitz and.
But what I really liked about the film is it had that glitz and glam, but your main two characters, who are the stars of this film, were both struggling for their dreams.
Dreams, yeah.
It also had a bit of a kind of, do you go for your dreams?
Yeah,
or do you go for the love?
Yeah, that's what I guess the film's trying to convey in its message of, if you follow your dreams or you follow who you want to maybe
settle down with and spend the rest of life with.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows you sometimes in life you can't always have both, and you have to pick which one means more to you.
Yeah. And
this kind of really, really tugged on my heartstrings because I am a bit of a hopeless romantic, and I think
that's why I really like this film, because I'm exactly the same kind of.
And you do want, I'd rather have Emma Stone not being an actress and kind of settling down. I liked the second part where she could see her having a child with him, moving into a house together, and that actually, she seemed happier in that dream that she had.
Yeah, to an extent, but I think that was merely playing out the other side of the coin with that, because it's kind of like what you don't know, because she was kind of happy. She was a success. She already had a husband and a young daughter.
But he wasn't the one.
Yeah, but I think you need to think that she would just say, I'll just settle for this guy kind of thing. And
that's what it felt like for me, like, because she still had that feeling when she saw him, and it's like the kind of
I guess
I've missed out on him, and then that this guy is technically second best, so it's like it kind of ended a bit somewhat bittersweet.
Yeah, it does.
Which initially I hated, but last night when we watched it, I was like, actually, this is actually quite cleverly done, the way that it is portrayed. It's actually top notch as the normal chick flick kind of films that I'd watch, where you can predict the ending before you've even started watching it.
Yeah. Whereas
I'd actually forgot how it ended, because we'd only seen it once, and I got so annoyed I think I put it to the back of my head.
No, I remember the whole thing quite vividly, where I was sort of seeing it in the cinema, but then it's like, I like to revisit the whole thing again, but all the beats really quite fresh in my mind about how it all went through, so it was quite surprised me, considering
certain bits that I remembered, but weirdly not the ending. I think it kind of brings you through a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. You kind of have these lovely moments where you see them all getting along, and then you have the heartbreak, and you really do feel all that roller coaster of that relationship. And this was my favourite of the night.
The day?
The day, yeah, definitely. I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, don't be put off by what you think is just going to be a musical all the way through, because it's really not. If anything, there's more instrumental stuff more than anything really than there are songs.
And the songs aren't taken to one of those degree of where it's like a musical. I wouldn't class it
not like
as
the very first couple of ones. That's the very much more so the musical parts to the film. The rest of there's like an actual song that John Legend is singing, and that's not like an actual song, like a gig. So.
And as well, the other ones seem more relaxed and more not so stagey when it's Emma and Ryan kind of
singing at
them.
The piano or whatever. Yeah.
It doesn't seem as like cabaret kind of.
Yeah.
It kind of miles down. Also, I know some people, because obviously this was really, really, really mega hyped up. This film was like, and like, this is amazing, it's brilliant, and it is. And that sometimes can put people off when critics kind of say, it's fantastic, watch it, and they ram it down your throat. Like, you kind of go the opposite way and go, I don't even want to watch it before you've even...
Yeah, because the Academy like want to big up certain things, and then you watch them and go, really? Are you just doing that for just thinking that it's something that it's not as great as people think it's
get the money in, ramp it up, get what it's worth, thing. But you're saying that like how Parasite is, that is worth the hype. Yes,
thing. That's a very good example of the high expectations pay off with that.
Oh, they exceed this. Initially, when I watched it, I don't really think I valued this film as much as I should have done, and I didn't appreciate what it had to offer until the second time around. And I think that's daft because I didn't have to pay to watch it this time. But it was beautiful, like everything about it, the music, the lighting, the glamorization of Hollywood, but then them being so normal people. Yeah. So you could really relate to them. It's just stunning, and everything is just so beautiful. Like the lighting of it, they've just got that perfect for me. I was like, I don't know why I didn't see it before.
I think it's probably just doing these reviews and stuff. It's kind of appreciating things a bit more now. And again, seeing it for a second viewing or third thing, you pick up more things as you see them more times. So
yeah, most certainly. Yeah. So who's going first?
You can go first this time.
Okay, so I won't bore you with why I'm going to score it, because obviously you probably...
All that. Yeah,
for my reasons. So I'm going to score this a 10.
Whee! Right, first 10 from you.
And it has to have Emma Stone in it, doesn't it? Yes, it's a 10 from me. It's amazing, and it's lovely, and it's magical and romantic. But yeah, got a bit of a twist to keep you on your toes. What about you? Is it movie week phenomenon? Making this intense now.
I'm going to give it a 10 as well.
You had me thinking, come on, it's not going to do it. I'm thinking the lowest he'll do is like a 9, because it's Emma Stone.
Yeah, no. I was toying between 9, 9.5, but then I'm thinking, no, because I really did enjoy it. Again, like I've just said a moment ago, I've not seen it for a good while. This is second viewing, and it was very, very clear in my head how things went out, almost like I saw it yesterday kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean by that. Yeah, like a very, very fresh, like I hadn't forgotten how most of the things had gone through the story structure, so I think it must have left a good impression when I saw it the first time.
Unlike me.
So, and for all the aspects of the lighting, the beautiful music that's involved with the score and all that, and just everything, obviously despite the sad realism of what the film ultimately offers at the end, of you can't have everything that you want, but that is just life. But
yeah, it is, and it's a valid story.
Yeah.
It's like, it is saying, would you rather follow your dreams, but maybe you might not have the one you love, And it's like, that's hard to pick because you're always going to be thinking, well, what if I did do my dreams? Or what if I married him? You know, that is tricky to kind of figure out somebody's happiness.
Yeah.
Really. But I'm glad it wasn't all rainbow and roses, actually.
Yeah.
For once. What is wrong with me? I don't think I'm me anymore. What have you done?
Yeah. I'm very happy that you've given a 10 on something that we've put on.
You mean for Emma Stone?
Yeah.
She has got beautiful ginger hair. Like, I would have her hair in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Sadly, she's not true ginger, though. But
no, she's a fake.
Still love her, though. And her quirkiness. That was another good aspect of her. She's just got that quality about her.
She's quite funny as well. She's very, very funny. So the way that she portrays things, I can imagine that is just actually her personality.
Yeah.
There we go then.
There you go.
That's a wrap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what you say when you end of a movie?
Yeah.
So I really, really, really enjoyed our movie marathon.
Mm-hmm.
I think
me too.
It's something we should try and do again.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to your birthday, maybe, or something like that, we can do a similar thing. I don't know how we'll work that in with what you want, but I guess you can put what you want to watch.
Oh, don't give me a choice, will you? I'll be like...
I'm sure there'll be things that you could think. Yeah, you better start thinking.
I'm not like you that's going to have a list full. I'll be like,
But, yeah. So, hopefully down the line that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just say, coming up for next few episodes, what we'll be doing. I've got a theme going for next month.
For August.
Yeah. Nothing specific, like a clever title or anything.
It should be Romantic August. That's when we got engaged, so it should be something really nice and romantical, no? You're not going to go with that, are you?
No.
Go on.
Because there was, from when I was picking out the list of stuff to whittle down to watch for the marathon stuff, there were 2 films by a director that didn't make the cut. So I was thinking, right, okay, well, we can add those 2 and then 2 other ones in the mix and make it into a month stream of watching. And they're kind of different in their own rights anyway, and they stand on their own as good pieces of cinema. So there's going to be Alfred Hitchcock films for the next 4.
And what does that entail for me then?
Classic thrillers, but not in the same.
Is it going to be gory?
Somewhat more shocking for when the time period that they were from, but it's not going to be. It's not going to be like anything like American Psycho, that kind of.
All right, we're fine then.
Yeah, so don't worry about that too much. But I think, and at least one, I already know you're probably going to like anyway.
Just one. Out of the whole month, there's only one that I might like.
No, by that I mean that I know from the outset, but you might surprise me with what you think of the other ones. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so, but I mean, I could be wrong about that one, but. Because sometimes you do surprise me with what you got. your thoughts on our films sometimes, but that's kind of interesting for content.
I guess so, yeah. So, thank you so much for listening to us. I hope you've enjoyed this session as much as we have.
Yes, thank you very much for listening to this episode, and you can listen to our other episodes on Podbean, Spotify, iTunes, and wherever else you might get your podcasts from. And of course, we're on the social media under SP Film Viewers on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
So thank you again, and I hope that you actually go out of your way to watch at least one of the films that we have tried this weekend. And we will speak to you next time.
Yep, we'll speak to you next time for Hitchcock Month. So, goodbye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye.
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 Bye.